All right. Hey, everyone. I'm here with Brenda Patton. Hey, Brenda.
Hey, Jennifer.
How are
Thanks for
you?
having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. So she's with Halliday Realtors. Is that right?
Yes, Abby
Yes.
Halliday.
Uh-huh.
We have quite a few offices in the Dallas metro area, and I'm in the
Nice.
Frisco office.
Perfect. So if anybody has any referrals, please send them over to Brenda. Now, the reason we're talking to Brenda today is I don't know if y'all remember, but our second episode was about a pre-listing packet. And Monica and I got in a fight about it, and we actually add the pre-listing um, packet. We had a net sheet. And Brenda, which group was that? Was that in Lab Code Agents that you
It
posted?
was Lab Code Agents. Yes, yes.
So that's a really good group. If people aren't, if you're on Facebook, that's a good one for you to get into, I
For
think.
for agents, it's an amazingly helpful website or
It is.
group for
Group,
Facebook.
right, exactly.
Sorry.
Agent Syndicate too is one, the Agent Syndicate is one that we're starting up too, which hopefully people find helpful as well. But Brenda had posted, do you give sellers a net sheet? And Brenda, can you explain first what a net sheet is and then explain a little bit about like your results that people were recommending?
Absolutely. So the seller net sheet I've done since I've been in real estate,
Hmm.
and it's so essentially it takes all the costs that a seller is going to experience, and it provides the costs and their equity. And
Right,
so here's your net. This
right.
is what they're going to receive at closing.
Yeah, because a lot of times they'll think it's only like what they bought it for minus like, yeah, they
Yeah.
think they're going to get all of it. But there are costs associated with selling a house.
There are costs associated, and even if they are for sale by owner, there's
Right,
still costs associated. And many people don't realize that even for sale by owner, that there are costs associated.
right.
So, so I was asking that question because a very dear friend of mine in the market here
Mhm.
he has stated that he never gives a net sheet, never.
Interesting.
And I thought, I've been mulling that over for a year or two, thinking, he's
Why?
very successful. Why doesn't he do this?
I mean, Brenda,
So,
we put it in our pre-listing packet when we drop it off because like especially if the market is like going down, I'd rather them run through all the stages of grief before I get there than while I'm there, you know?
that's a good point. Very
Exactly.
good
And if
point.
it's going up, I want them to be super excited and be ready just to sign papers, you know? So it's like a win-win.
Yes. And some people think that providing that,
Leslie, go
excuse me,
Yahtzee.
real quick.
Sure. Realtor life.
Yes. Some people think that providing them that information is giving them, and almost say too much at one time or before they
No.
even, list with you.
That's what
And
the
so,
that's what the meeting's about. They want to know what they're gonna get.
yes, and you're right, they do. They want to know how it's going to happen.
Right.
So I posted that question because of my friend who said he never does it, never has, never will. And I'm going, I really admire this person because they're very successful. So
Yeah.
I wanted to find out, what do others do and why? Why
Right.
don't you do this? So I haven't called him back to ask him his why again, but it was very interesting to get the responses. And most agents who responded said, yes, they do.
Right.
There
I do
were,
find I want to for agents that don't know what a net sheet is, I can give them mine, and if you want to send me yours, I can post that too. But they should be basically the same. But also, I don't know if what you do, but like sometimes it's a rough calculation, and I just calculate like 8% of what we think the purchase price is going to be, and then that's like the cost of sale. So you take what the purchase price is minus what they owe minus the cost of sale is a net, and that's like the quick down and dirty version that I use if you have to be quick about it.
that's very smart. Actually, I like that approach. Mine's very detailed.
That's
It
good.
I have gone through the HUD one and kind of condensed all that information into one little Excel
Oh, wow.
spreadsheet.
Yours is a lot more detailed. We should get yours then.
No, I think that yours is better because it doesn't break out all those costs.
No, it's easy. It's quick. And then I
Yeah.
also, another tip that I like to use is kind of like create a little budget for inspection items. So inspection items are generally going to range between like one and maybe 3% of the home. I found it kind of depends on the age of the home. It depends on a lot of factors, right? Like how much they've
Right.
kept it up. But then in the conversation with the sellers, just having it as like a budget. And then so when the inspection comes back, it's like, remember, we budgeted for $5,000. And when we look at this, this is really only like $3,000 worth of work. So you're netting 2,000 more, you know?
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
So I like that line in there too, because it's easier to have the conversation up front, I find, than it is like when the inspection comes back and they just go sideways on like the 2 or 10 things that the buyers have asked for.
And I usually put it as a line item in mine, and it's seller
Perfect.
paid repairs.
Nice. Do you
So
how do you calculate that? Like what is your kind of
I generally, unfortunately, I just kind of eyeball it myself.
nice.
I
So you're doing
think,
it kind of the same way, like based on the condition of the property and
right.
just your knowledge of real estate. Okay. I'd be interested to know like what you're finding the average percentage is, you know?
I hadn't calculated that,
Yeah,
but I
but
do believe it's right there between the 8 and 9%. I don't think it even hits 10%.
right. No, that's yeah, total cost of sale for sure. Okay, so you said that a lot of agents said they did provide the net sheet.
Yes, I mean like 95%.
That's great.
I was just really amazed at how many do, and the ones that didn't was really what I was looking for.
Right.
I was looking for who didn't and why didn't they do it.
Right. What'd they say?
Um, what I found the most common one was it's a risk.
A risk of what?
That was, they didn't exactly explain it, but if we,
Like that
as
they
an
were
agent,
wrong?
yeah, if we as an agent present the seller net sheet to the seller and we don't get that sale price, or some of the costs come up higher,
Sure.
then we could be held accountable for
Those must have been the
misrepresentation.
California agents. You know, they're crazy out there. They do.
Yeah, and I've never heard a Texas agent say that there's any liability or any risk associated with a net sheet.
You can also on yours is there like on ours we'll just put like this is an estimate, like it's
Yes.
only an estimate, or I don't, I'm sure that if that's a concern, we can get like actual language like from the broker or the attorney or whatever. But I mean, it's not like they're signing it or anything.
And some of them actually say they do have it signed.
Oh, really? Why?
Yes. They get it signed at the listing, at the listing presentation, they get that signed.
They do. Why? Did they
Along with the
say?
CM. Well, I think it's so that there's no comeback to them about, you didn't disclose this information to me.
Oh, like you didn't disclose the cost or whatever.
I think that must be what it is, because
That's interesting because like I guess all contracts are different, but like in our contracts, because we do both 2 states, they both have in there like there are seller costs associated with selling. Like here are a few of the costs. So
oh,
like interesting. Huh.
I was a bit surprised about that one.
Yeah.
So okay, the next part of it I thought was pretty interesting was the ones who said that their state requires it.
They require it?
Some states actually require the seller net sheet, and they require it being signed or initialed. And I think the reason they're getting it signed or initialed is just not because it's part of the contract, but because it's part of disclosure. I did disclose this information to you.
Interesting.
To me, it's not contractual. It's simply disclosure, being a huge
Interesting.
difference. So that was in some of the states, and one of the participants said that he was from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And in Alabama, they have to do the net sheet.
I'm surprised that it's required thing because we don't actually, I mean, we can take an educated guess because, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if you believe this, but the best predictor of future behavior of buyers is the behavior of the past. And that's why we look at the relevant properties that have sold in the past because we're saying, okay, that's likely what it would sell for in the future, right? Like, but we don't actually know. We're just guessing.
Yes.
I mean, it's an educated guess, but it's guessing, right?
The CMA is the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
We are truly guessing at what the price is going to come out to be.
Right. Interesting. Huh.
But in Alabama, you not only get that CMA signed, but you also get the net sheet signed.
Interesting. Oh, they can sign the CMA too?
Yeah.
We got to have an Alabama agent on here, see what kind of craziness they're up to.
I thought that was quite interesting. Yes.
That is interesting. Any other insights from that discussion on the net sheet? You had said nobody else says they put it in their pre-listing packet, right?
No.
Hmm.
So when I heard you say that, I was very surprised. What I did think was interesting, there were several, 3, 4, 5, 6, who said that they use it as a follow-up to the listing
Oh,
presentation. So they'll do their listing presentation. If they don't have the signed listing agreement, and maybe even if they do, they'll come back within a couple of days with, here's our estimated net sheet.
got it. Okay. Yeah, if they don't get it signed there, like if they don't get their paperwork signed, we need to work on their scripts. Think.
Yes.
Just kidding. That's awesome. Well, I'm so thankful that you like asked that question because it's, we're in our day-to-day so much and we're just in our own sandbox. So when somebody like you asks this great question and we get answers from all across the country, it's like, oh, this is not like normal for
Right.
everyone. It's so interesting to hear what other people do because you could pick up like a lot of best practices, I think.
And there were a couple podcasts that were linked in the responses.
Uh-huh.
Yours was one of them. And there was another one I saw this morning. And my objective is to go back and listen to both of those as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and
good.
see that other one too. That's good. It'd be cool to hear like all the different perspectives.
Yeah. Well, this has been really awesome, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
I know. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your insights. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank you. Have a
Have a
blessed
good
day.
one.